Good evening, Trump family. Welcome to Open Source News. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notifications bell so you don't miss a thing. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. And as most of American media is ignoring what's happening in Brazil, we know Brazil military is gearing up. They are writing lots of communists. They are taking out drug lords who are Marxists who are supporting Lula. Was at Lula to Silvia over their apparent winner of their election in Brazil. And we know Bolsonaro has already stated that he is not going to give up. Well, recently, he just put out a speech that says we will win, and he will do what is necessary to ensure that the communists do not take Brazil. And we know the shakiness of what took place in their election. I've heard from many people from Brazil who have emailed me or have written in the comment section of what was taking place over in Brazil during the lead up to the election, where there were censoring many individuals. We know Twitter interfered in our election as well. And we know that they made it an all-digital election. There was no paper trail of how things went. And when the military had asked if they could go ahead and start reviewing that election, they were shut down by the Communist Supreme Court of Brazil and said no. So the military had to go to a different option. And the last option will be martial law and installing Bolsonaro as president. So we'll see how this continues to go. So let's dive into what we have here. It says Bozidar URL speaks as I will give my life for my country, we will win. That dude has some coronas. Right? And that guy is Brazil. As Brazilian President Bolsonaro emerged from the Alva Orna Palace in Brasilia Friday and spoke to protesters for the first time since mass protests against the election began 41 days ago, promising to fight to death for Brazil, load up on cash, food and gas. The military is advising. We have here President Bolsonaro said, I'm here to listen to the people. My loyalty belongs to the people of Brazil. That people are once again waving their flag proudly and have hope for the country's future. Now, we must unite. Brazil does not need more laws. The laws which we have must be respected. I am the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The armed forces are the last bastion against communism. They are loyal to the Brazilian people. Their duty is to defend our freedom. We are facing difficult and painful decision if it goes wrong, if it's because we as leaders have failed. So do not criticize without being absolutely sure of what is happening. Everyone knows what is happening over the last 4 years. And what the Supreme Electoral Court has said, what's happening in our country is absurd. It would be easy to install a dictatorship in Brazil. So do not ask what I can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It is you, the people, who will decide my future and what the armed forces will do. I can only be happy if you or I will do what I can. But I can't authorize anything by myself. This isn't a decision for only one person alone. 40 days of silence pained me in my soul. I've never seen people take to the streets demanding that a president state. Usually they want him to leave. I've never seen anything like this. Nothing is lost yet. I believe that victory will come within the law and the Constitution. I will give my life for this country. Let's dictate ourselves, unite and seek a way out. Let each of us do what we can to save our country. Onward to victory. Protesting is a democratic right. You are the citizens of this country. No more being treated the way that you had been. They have been treating you. Everything will work out. Nothing is lost. We will win. Power comes from the people. Everything in its time was his speech. Speaking to both an hour outside the palace, Chief Romeo Garo Hara of the Moon Duke said, for 39 days we've been braving sun and rain because we believe in you and our agony. We brought our demands to all levels of power, Senate and Congress, but they are all corrupt, just like Senate President Rodrigo Pancho. The egg. Head Chief Alexander de Moore is in our agony by making use of your pen. If you do not do this, you will hear that we are going to take Brazil. So yeah, huge things are happening. Brazil. Of course we know the military is intervene right now, and we will see how this all plays out. And I truly hope the best for the people of Brazil. You do not deserve a communist country, a communist government. I truly hope that you guys will be able to overcome and will preserve democracy and the Constitution and your great country. And then, this is some big news. Oh well, who would have seen this one coming? We just covered the whole Maxine Waters Sam Bagman Fried connection issue. how Maxine Waters was seemingly left in charge with getting Sam Bankman-Fried to show up on the House floor for a hearing, where he can be questioned on the whole FTX thing. First of all, how ridiculous it was that Maxine Waters would be anywhere near this considering her cozy relationship with SPF. Here she is blowing a kiss to the guy. And in that video, we went on a rant of all these corrupt politicians, of course, mostly Democrats, but there's some Republicans to the swamp creatures, who pretend to be on your side, on the side of the little guy fighting for your best interest, but in a situation like this with Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX US, and Alameda Research, where the American citizens' retail investors were essentially scammed out of billions of dollars, these politicians take the side of the fraudster, or the supposed alleges fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried, because donor bucks, especially such dirty donor bucks from FTX US, are more important than you are to these slimy politicians. Let me show you guys what I mean. Let's get into this whole Maxine Waters situation as the story develops, and let's just say the development is not surprising whatsoever. Alright folks, take a look at this. House Financial Services Chair Maxine Waters doesn't plan to subpoena Sam Bankman-Fried to testify at hearing on FTX collapse. Now, first of all, can somebody please explain to me how Maxine Waters is the House Financial Services Chair? I mean, a quick little Wikipedia search of Maxine Waters shows early life and education. She worked in a garment factory as a telephone operator before being hired as an assistant teacher with the Head Start program in Watts in 1966. Waters later enrolled at Los Angeles State College, now California University, Los Angeles, where she received a bachelor's degree in sociology in 1971. Somehow a sociology degree puts Maxine Waters in the position of House Financial Services Chair. That wasn't ridiculous enough. Now we have this House Financial Services Committee Chairwoman Maxine Waters that she doesn't plan to subpoena former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried to testify at the December 13 hearing about the crypto exchange's rapid demise. According to the people with direct knowledge of the conversation, these politicians are bought and paid for their commodities sold off to the highest donor in their interest. And I've mentioned it's a both sides thing. I mean, I do notice it more on the Democrat side than the Republican, but honestly, even if it was an equal phenomenon 50-50, it's worse when it comes from Democrats, because they play this role as they're there for the little guy, and then they do something like this. I mean, it wasn't bad enough that Maxine Waters was essentially brown-nosing Sam Bankman-Fried last week ahead of the supposed hearing. Now she's refusing to subpoena him, because apparently she doesn't believe that the American people deserve answers on this massive, wide-scale potential fraud. And you know why she probably doesn't want to get to the bottom of it, because she's probably in some way, shape or form connected and implicated. They all of their campaigns, a good chunk of the DNC donations, their campaigns were funded by Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX. And just to show you how dishonest Maxine Waters is on the issue of cryptocurrency, on June 18, 2019, Maxine Waters asked Facebook to hold its plan for development and launching of Libra, a new cryptocurrency, citing a list of recent scandals. She said the cryptocurrency market currently lacks a clear regulatory framework to provide strong protections for investors, consumers in the economy. Regulators should see this as a wake-up call to get serious about the privacy and national security concerns, cybersecurity risks, and the trading risks that are posed by cryptocurrencies. So here's Maxine Waters warning everyone about how volatile and dangerous cryptocurrencies are and how investors could get the short end of the stick. Then, of course, Democrat megadonor Sam Bankman-Fried is now under criminal investigation for market manipulation, which may have helped them wipe $1 trillion from the crypto market. The pump and dump scheme leaving retail investors dry as they use the back door that they built at FTX to funnel the funds out of there and funnel a good chunk of the funds to Democrat causes and Democrat campaigns. Ironically enough, exactly what Maxine Waters back in June of 2019 was warning everyone about. Seemingly she should care about this issue. When it comes to it, when push comes to shove, she's unwilling to subpoena the guy, and just the way that she has treated this whole situation from the start has been fundamentally unserious. Let's do a little flashback to this tweet. She had Sam Bankman-Fried says, "We appreciate that you've been so candid in your discussions about what happened at FTX. Your company's willingness to talk to the public will help the company's customers, investors, and others. To that end, we would welcome your participation in our hearing on the 13th. I mean, treating the guy with kid gloves as if this is just a small thing, a multi-billion-dollar potential fraud. Sam Bankman-Fried should have been subpoenaed from day one. Actually, as I'm going through some of these tweets, I just noticed that Maxine Waters has addressed the whole issue lies are circulating at CNBC, that I am not willing to subpoena Sam Bankman-Fried. He has been requested to testify at the December 13th hearing. A subpoena is definitely on the table. Stay tuned. Well, if that's the case, Maxine Waters and Sam Bankman-Fried has already essentially pulled out of the hearing, claiming that he's not going to go. What's taking you so long? Whether she ends up subpoenaing him or not at the last minute doesn't justify Maxine Waters, first of all, having a severe conflict of interest here considering her very close relationship with this individual. Frankly, all of Washington has a friggin' conflict of interest with SPF at this point, and it wouldn't justify the kids' glove approach that she's taking. If Sam Bankman-Fried is guilty of what people are accusing him of, it's probably one of the biggest frauds ever committed, and we're talking about Americans' livelihoods here. We're talking about treating people's life savings as if it's monopoly money and stealing it from them, stealing investors' cash, and these Washington swamp rats are unwilling to take this issue seriously. The double standard is apparent when something is involving Donald Trump. Maxine Waters is on the case, so we're gonna get him. He's a criminal. Of course, the whole Washington machine is working overtime. Biden's corrupt. DOJ asks Obama-appointed judge to hold Trump team in contempt for failing to comply with a subpoena related to Mar-a-Lago documents. They're fully willing to subpoena Donald Trump and literally anyone even remotely connected to it. Probably subpoena Donald Trump's golf caddy at this point. Pete's sakes, it's nothing but endless investigations when it comes to Trump and the Trump team and the Trump family and organization, millions upon millions of dollars. But Sam Bankman-Fried, woke Democrat megadonor who allegedly pulled off the scam, the fraud of the century, well, they just don't seem to care. And that's exactly it. They don't care. This is what they do. They're professional, corrupt, useless people. They say the right things when it comes to election time. They present themselves in a certain manner. They're empty suit politicians who serve nobody but themselves. Takes me right back to the whole Trump contrast thing. We're to believe that Donald Trump is this evil, terrible man because he's got a little bit of a potty mouth and he shoots from the hip and sometimes says things that he shouldn't, and that these finely groomed politicians are the good guys because they present themselves in a certain way and talk in a certain way. But when it really comes to it, when it really comes to the slime, Enos, the dishonesty, the corruption, the fraud, maintaining the status quo and screwing over the American public, it's not Donald Trump who's doing it. It's the well-groomed electable politician. They're snakes in the grass, they're not to be trusted, and the Democrats are the worst of the worst. Both sides have their snakes in the grass. But these Democrats who run on all of these sensitive societal issues, who constantly try to go after your heartstrings and go after issues, emotional issues that they can target, are the most disingenuous in the fact that they target those issues and then end up being complete scoundrels and complete liars. It takes the level of unethical to a new height, and as Sam Bankman-Fried situation and how Maxine Waters is treating it is the perfect proof for exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts below and hit